Hey guys, welcome to episode 203 of the Heart of the Witch's Path podcast. I'm your co-host Helen.
And I'm Kathy.
And today we're coming to you with, I gotta tell you, timeout segue here. I can't say today without thinking of the podcast anymore. Today! Sorry guys, I hope we're not uber annoying with that, but it's today.
But today we'll try not to be.
Right.
Today.
So, today we wanted to talk to you in what I think is going to become an annual podcast.
I think so, because it is an annual event for us.
It's an annual happening.
Absolutely.
This is going to be our pre-ConVocation Get Ready podcast.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited.
So am I. It's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I will admit, I wasn't uber excited.
Oh, I've been excited for a month.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going to ConVocation for
years.
And so, yeah, I wasn't uber excited before, but, and I'm especially sad because there's only going to be 3 of us.
I know. People have chosen other priorities.
Well, yeah. So it kind of sucks that our whole coven isn't going to be there, but they're going to be doing other things or have done other things.
Or have issues and can't come.
Right. So we will be thinking about our missing sisters.
We'll light candles for them while we're there.
No, we won't, because you can't light candles.
Shh.
Maybe we'll buy candles thinking.
Maybe we'll light candles with the door closed.
Yeah, something like that. So we will definitely miss our coven sisters who won't make it. But Cornflower Wolf is going to be there. And
with
so
her husband.
For Wolfmaster. He will be there.
Have you called him that, brother?
No, that's the first
that's
time.
Gonna be awesome.
That's the first time I've ever used that. And
that's gonna be awesome.
And then Kathy and I, of course, will be there. So, and we're hoping to see old friends.
Yes.
And make new friends.
Yes.
So I can't stress enough that if you're going to ConVocation,
find us
and say hi.
Yes.
If you listen to the podcast, then please let us know. So at this point, people might be asking, what are you talking about? Kathy, why don't you give us an overview?
ConVocation is an annual event in the Detroit, Michigan area where it's kind of like a mini PantheaCon, where they have guest presenters and local presenters that teach a variety of classes on a wide variety of subjects. They have ritual, there's a vendor room, there's a meet and greet, and it's all this year at the Dearborn Hilton.
Doubletree Hilton. Yep.
With the best cookies ever.
Oh, yeah. They give you warm chocolate chip cookies.
Anytime you go to the desk and say, hey, can I have a cookie? They will give you a cookie. And these cookies are to die for. They're best. The best cookies. But that's not why we go. We don't go for the cookies.
They're a nice added bonus.
They're a nice added bonus. We go for the companionship and the classes because really there are a wide variety of classes on almost any subject you could think of.
Right.
And the vendor room is awesome. And the art room is awesome. And every year they do a
Masquerade ball,
but that's not what I was thinking. The thing where you pick the raffle.
Oh, right. There's
a raffle,
a teacup raffle or whatever that it's been. I think it used to be the Tempest Smith Foundation,
but that has been disbanded.
But that's no longer in existence. And so last year it was, I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember either. But this year it is Pagans in Need, which is out of the Lansing area. And so it's an awesome charity.
Mm-hmm. And so what it is they take donations of, various items, be it books, jewelry, anything.
Ritual supplies.
Yeah, anything
clothing.
along those lines. And they'll have like little bags. And so you purchase tickets and you put one half of the ticket in the item that you want to try to win, and then you retain the other one. And then they have a big drawing Saturday night before the ball.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's happened every year.
And it's an awesome event. The whole entire weekend. We go, it starts Thursday, and we go Thursday, and we stay through Sunday, which is when it ends.
Right, because opening ceremony is at like 7 or something like that. At least it has
Yeah.
been in the
It
past.
is at 7 o'clock. Yes. Now that we're looking at the
The
at
reason I know that
we're
is
looking at the
because,
schedule.
well, no, actually, the reason that I know that is because Kathy and I did a podcast about this last year. It was episode 103.
Ooh.
Do you sense a
I sense a
timely
theme.
theme?
Yeah.
So I went back to listen to that podcast just to see what we had talked about. And if you listen to that podcast, you might, get some similar information out of this one. But if you're new to our podcast, we wanted to be able to cover all the high points.
Right.
So you might get a refresher or
Right.
what have you. But I will link that episode below because we might say you never know what's going to come out of these mouths. We might forget something totally, so you might want to go back and check that one just in case.
Absolutely.
Um, and I'm also gonna post a link since I'm talking about links in case I forget to do it later. I did a video on the YouTube channel a few weeks ago. No, it wasn't a video. There is a video.
Okay.
Let me get myself in order. I did a video on who the featured presenters were that are coming this year. And I did a blog post about classes that I was looking forward to. So I will link both of those in the description box.
She will also post a link to the ConVocation website, which is convocation.org.
Right. So let's so we covered what is convocation.
Right.
And I know that I talked about who's coming, but why don't you kind of like get into here who's coming?
Well, again, there's a variety of local folks that come because every year you can put in to teach a class, and they go through the class suggestions and pick the people and classes that they want to have. But they also have featured presenters, people who are a little more famous than Michigan local.
Right, considered guests of honor.
Right, like Selena Fox, who is, if you don't know who Selena Fox is, you need to Google that right
yeah,
now.
you we'll give you the pass that if you don't know who Selena Fox is, you might be a baby witch.
Right.
And this is an honored elder that you need to know about.
Yes.
So you need to go find out.
Absolutely.
About her.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Raven Caldera is another of the featured guests.
Honored guests.
Honored guests, sorry. The other one was it Richard?
Yes.
Yeah, Richard Kaczynski.
I think this is the first time that I've ever seen him come to ConVocation.
Yeah, I haven't seen him either.
And this guy, I'm kind of intrigued to meet him because he is actually, he knows and has written a great deal about Aleister Crowley, which of course is, Golden Dawn, which is
ceremonial magic
and Kabbalic study and things of that nature.
Could be very interesting.
So,
right.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he has to say. And I've actually been watching a lot of documentaries, and he's cropped up in some things. Yeah, so that's been kind of cool.
So those are
there's the drum.
Honored, yeah, the drum.
Hold
on, I'll find it. It is the Witch Doctor Utu and the Niagara Voodoo Shrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a drumming group because there's drumming circles. We didn't really
there's
talk
a drumming
about
circle.
Every night there's a drumming circle.
Right.
Somewhere.
Oh, and there's karaoke.
Karaoke is Friday night,
I think.
Yeah, Friday night.
So those were the honored guests, but there's also featured guests, and those include Jackie Smith, who is wonderful. We have talked about her before.
Yep.
Ellen Dugan, which if we haven't talked about her before, badass.
I think we mentioned her in the podcast that we did last year because featured guests are people who live a little bit more local to either Michigan or the Detroit area or what have you. And so these are folks that come back like year after year after year because they live close enough. Now, Jackie, of course, has a shop and lives in the Ferndale area. Ellen lives in Minnesota, I believe. Minneapolis,
I have
something
no
along
idea,
those
to be
lines.
honest.
She's got quite a few books out, and she's master gardener, things of that nature. So she's got a lot of stuff happening too.
Michelle Belanger lives in Indianapolis, Cincinnati.
Yes.
somewhere relatively close.
Ken Day.
I don't know that he's local, but he does come every
I
year.
think he's in Ohio or Indiana.
Yeah, you could be right.
Yeah.
Jason Mankey is no longer local to Michigan, but he tends to come back most years.
Right, because he grew up in Michigan, and I think he's
Right.
technically located in
He's in California.
California
now.
right now.
Lady Dame and Andrea
Vitamus.
Vitamus.
I don't know anything about him. I've never gone to one of his
think
classes.
I've been to one of his classes, but I cannot remember what it was about.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of very interesting people, people that we consider elders, like Selena Fox, Michelle Belanger, Ellen Dugan, Jackie Smith, that you definitely, we would totally recommend anything that they write. Just take a look and see what you can find.
You know, there was a point that I wanted to make after my massive sneeze.
Helen has a cold, in case you didn't realize.
Just to kind of give you an idea, Kathy mentioned that this is kind of a mini PantheaCon, and it really is. I haven't been to PantheaCon, but I've talked to people that have, and it's a large event. This event is no slouch.
No,
okay?
we take over the hotel.
Right. It's a whole hotel.
And we recently had to move to a larger hotel because the hotel we were in was too small.
Right. And, you know, we talked about the fact that I've never been to a class by Andre Vitamus. And that's because there are, I don't know like how many classes throughout the weekend. But there's about a dozen rooms, wouldn't you say?
See,
Maybe
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's probably 12 rooms.
Right. That classes can be held in. And then there's, you know, different times during the day, there's different sessions. And so it's quite easy to not make a class.
To go for years and not see a presenter that's there every year.
Exactly.
Just because, like this year, oh my God, I think every single time slot until 2 o'clock on Saturday, there are 2 classes I want to see in every single time slot.
Right. Right.
So you have to make a hard choice.
That makes it really hard to choose what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And
right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
And then of course, you know, aside from the guests of honor and the featured presenters, there is a whole score of local pagans that are also presenting classes. And so that's what fills out the times.
Right. And then, you know, it's easy to stick to the well-known famous people, but a lot of the local people really have very interesting, very, very meaningful classes. I think the rooms classes I've had at Con have been by local presenters, and those
have been really good.
just been awesome.
Right, because I mean, I'm thinking about like Bonadia,
right? She's good too.
Did really good classes.
Mm-hmm.
There was the lady that from Pagan Pathways Temple.
Oh yeah,
that was
what was her name?
That was at Pagan Pride that taught. I saw it when you were looking through the presenters.
Yeah, was it Bronwyn?
No. And the guy who taught the rune class that we went to last year, I don't remember his name, but he was really good and really knowledgeable.
Yeah, and there's some classes by Ian Corrigan that look really good this year, and I've never heard of him
Shauna
before.
Ora Knight,
yep,
she's
taught
good every year.
Right.
Geraldine Mystic. That's her.
Yeah.
Right. And another cool thing about the classes is that, and I don't think that when I first started going, I don't think that they necessarily had classifications, but there's everything available for any level.
Yeah.
Of
I mean,
student.
they have stuff for kids, they have stuff for teenagers, they have stuff that's beginning students, they have, you know, rituals, they just have all kinds of things. It's so interesting.
And you can, unfortunately, pre-registration is already closed.
Yes.
But man, it seems like they had it open really late this year.
Yeah. Actually, I think they opened it earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We've pre-registered the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's cheaper. It's totally cheaper.
It's like $15 cheaper.
Yeah. And if you, well, okay, that's for the whole weekend.
Right.
So, and we go for the whole weekend. So that pays for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday classes. Right. So it is totally worth it to come for the whole weekend. If you live close enough, then you can just drive in. But I would still recommend staying because there's drumming and the rituals. They have meet and greets. They have both a LGBT meet and greet, and they have local pagans.
Right.
It's really worth staying
It's
the whole weekend.
it's a great networking opportunity to meet people. You know,
Yeah.
if you're in a tradition that isn't very popular, you're probably going to find somebody
Right.
there that
Right.
follows that same
Absolutely.
tradition.
Absolutely.
You know, and then there's, you know, local people, you know, you find somebody local to your area.
Right.
So, right. I mean, it's an amazing 4 days.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
for to be sure. So
So what are we gonna see?
well, what are we hoping to see?
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, we did this last year too. Each of us covered like 5 classes that we wanted to go to. And when I read or when I listened to the podcast, I don't think I made it to all those classes that I wanted to go to.
Well, and it's easy to go to a class by a presenter and go, oh man, this is an awesome presenter. I want to see everything this person does.
Right, and you rearrange your schedule
Right.
because what you get when you go register or pick up your, you know, whatever, you get a book.
You get a packet.
You get a packet, and this book, there's a booklet inside that has the whole schedule printed out for you.
Right.
And it gives you information about the vendor room and the art room and things like that. But so what I do is I make sure that I take a highlighter with me,
Right.
and I will go through. So there's a schedule. There's a schedule of the classes, like in a grid form.
And then they have a list of what all the classes actually are.
Right, a description of them and who's teaching and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, you go through and you read through and you really like Thursday night is really about like dissecting and reading everything.
Right.
Because the schedule has been available for a while.
Yeah.
A few
at least
weeks.
a month.
Yeah, a few weeks. And because I mean I went through it already and did a blog post on
Right.
classes that I was looking forward to. But I wait till I get there to like really immerse
To
myself.
make that last minute decision.
Right, right. So
Right.
that's what I do.
And another thing that can happen is you'll be in a class and you'll have a topic pop up that's really interesting, and you'll look at the schedule and hey, there's actually a class on this.
And
So
I
let's go
and
here.
maybe this one class in the same time frame I wasn't as interested
Right.
in, but so you know you switch it up.
And
So-
like I said, there is 2 classes in every time period until Saturday afternoon. So it's going to be hard for me to actually make the decisions.
Right. Yeah.
So what are we hoping to see?
Yeah, why don't you give us the first class that you're hoping?
Are we starting with our 5th one or our first one? Or are we just doing it right
I don't. I'll probably start with my 5th one because
Okay.
I'm going right from my blog post.
Okay, so wow. I have a couple of classes that have to do with the crone and menopause because that is coming for me.
Right.
It is hot on my tail. So, one of the classes that I'm looking forward to is Crone at the Crossroads, which is with Selena Fox, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Do you want me to go through them all, or do you want to go back and forth?
We can go back and forth.
Okay.
Let's do that. My number 5 one is the 9 Sisters, the Gods and Goddesses of the Northern Seas by Raven Caldera, and that's talking about those Nordic gods and goddesses of the
And he's
sea.
a good speaker.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's a good speaker.
Right. Any class by him is a good one.
So the next one, and let me just throw my second crone one: Menopause, Magic, and the Crone Years. And I believe that Ellen Dugan is teaching this.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So yeah, that'll be very interesting. Again, it's on my tail, so yeah.
My 4th one would be Intro to the Kabbalah by Richard Kaczynski. I've talked about the fact that this year's study with the Temple of Witchcraft is all about high magic and the Tree of Life and stuff. So I'd like to see what his take is. How close is it to what I've been learning and things of that nature.
I think that's on my possible list.
I think we need to stop, time out, because one thing that we forgot to mention briefly is that every year there's a theme. And so we went through the major arcana. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. We went through the major arcana, so there's a theme every year, and they would take a card from the major arcana. Well, we finished that up last year, and so this year they're starting on the path of the Kabbalic Tree of Life. So we're starting with Kether, which is the first sphere at the top of the tree, and so we're going to work our way downward. So there's going to be a lot of Kabbalic classes offered this year.
And probably throughout.
Right.
Okay.
So number 3 class for
Number
you.
3 class. So another thing that is interesting me a lot this year has to do with death and dying. Mostly because I've had a lot of my uncles pass in the last year, and while my father isn't dying, he probably doesn't have a long time to live, and my mom is getting up there in age too. So, and I've experienced death in my family. I've had a couple brothers pass, so I'm interested in learning how to aid in the passing and how to deal with it too. So another class that I'm interested in is Into the Light, supporting death and transitions, because I know that's going to be, unless dad passes in the middle of the night, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to be there for.
Right. Yeah, I think death and dying is part of that next part of the path, because as you and I go forward in studies, we're into higher level
Hmm.
teachings and stuff like that, and so part of that is going to become
Right.
administering to our community.
Right.
And so of course death is
Part of that is
one of those big things.
dealing with not only those who are dying, but those who are left behind.
Right, exactly. So the third class that I'm looking forward to is called The Witch, the Healer, and the Door. And that's a Jackie Smith class. And that is dealing with the Akashic Records, which she's written a book about.
Right.
So, and
And
I need to pick that up this year because I don't have it. So,
I think I took her Akashic Record class a few years ago.
right. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is a different one.
Yeah, well, she tends to teach on the same subjects but put a different spin on it, which is interesting
Right.
because that gives you more information, and sometimes it's easier to understand with a different spin.
Right.
So another class that has to do with the dead that I'm interested in is honoring the dead, and I didn't write down who all of these are from.
Selena Fox.
Selena Fox. She's awesome. She is so awesome. Yeah.
So my second class would be Discovering the Tree of Life through Tarot with Jane Pierce, and she's going to be one of those local teachers
Right.
that I'm going to see what she's got to offer. And the tarot is linked with the Kabbalic tree because the pathways that lead between the spheres are assigned to the major deck cards, major arcana cards, and the spheres are assigned with like the 1 through 10, and then the kings, queens, pages, and knights. So that'll be interesting.
And so the last class that's on my top 5 are Gods and Goddesses of Pagan Ire.
I believe.
And I think that was that gentleman that I mentioned, that Ian something or other.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, hey, look, it's right here. And of course, I'm not down far enough. Yes, Ian Corrigan.
Right.
He's doing several Celtic classes this year, so I'm interested to see how that's going to go.
Cool. My number 1 class is actually the Honoring the Dead with Selena Fox. That's definitely, she's got a couple of dead classes that she's doing this year.
Well, she's a big proponent of natural burials,
green burials, and death midwives.
Yeah. So she's very much into that stuff, and they have a cemetery on the Circle Sanctuary grounds where they can do green burials, and
right.
she's always really good when it comes to that type of thing.
Right. So those are like the top 5 classes that we're each looking forward to. We'll see if we actually go to any one of those.
Well, we'll be sure to mention when we come back.
Right. We'll see in our post wrap up what we actually
our
attended.
ConVocation. Right.
So the next thing we thought we'd talk about is an important thing. To me, anyhow.
Is it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
It's food.
Food. Oh, food is really important.
4 days.
And it's not super expensive to go to ConVocation, but it's not cheap.
Right.
And if you're not careful, you could spend more money on food than you do on anything else.
Right. In the past, there's always, in whichever hotel they've been in, there's always been a hotel restaurant. So that's convenient.
But hotel restaurants tend to be expensive.
Exactly. So one thing that Kathy and I started doing,
like our second year.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
Is we would bring a cooler
Right.
and we would do some grocery shopping and pre-planning and things of that nature. And we would actually bring our breakfasts and lunches.
Right. I
And
mean,
then,
we pick up bagels or we pick up oatmeal packets that you can just throw hot water in.
right, yogurt. And
Yogurt.
excuse me, we just brought a small like collapsible cooler
Right.
that we would get ice every day from the vending machine.
Right.
And because the only things that we really got that needed refrigerated was like yogurts, and we got
Lunch
some lunch
meat,
meats and things of that
cheese.
nature. Right. So I mean, it was pretty basic stuff. We did sandwiches for lunch. We would do bagels, like Kathy said, or oatmeal, or
yogurt.
yogurts, fresh fruit for
Or
breakfasts.
donuts, because we pick up donuts on the way down.
Because we're bad. Anyhow. And then for dinners, we would go out, or we
So-
would order in.
Yeah, so there's a Red Robin near the hotel that we hit one night.
That's usually Thursday
Yeah,
night.
there's the hotel has a buffet one night.
Or every night, or something
No, there's
like
one
that.
specific night we usually go because they've got really good prices on the hotel.
Right.
And then the other night we do pizza. We get
We order in pizza, or
So-
we've done like
We did
Chili's.
Chinese one night.
Yeah,
too.
we did Chili's one time.
We
We
usually
did
get
Chinese.
Chili's on the way out.
What was the? No, because we did that once too. But then
Okay.
Chili's is usually what we stop at for lunch on the way out of town.
Right,
So
right.
we've got some
There's
ritualistic
some options, yeah.
dining.
Yeah, there's some options. I
so
mean,
that's-
you could certainly bring enough to go ahead and eat
Do
all
all
of
your
your meals. And they have refrigerators this year.
Yes, that's
So
one
we're
thing.
very
that-
excited about that. We don't have to bring our cooler. We're very excited. But it's or you could, if you feel like you're up to driving out to get a bunch of stuff, that's fine. But we feel that takes away from the time that we take for classes, because they really don't give you a big break.
Well, that, and you pair it with the fact that this is February, folks.
Yeah, it's cold.
It usually snowstorms.
And invariably, there's a snowstorm on the way down there.
Although it'll be interesting to see
See
what
what-
happens this
this
year,
year.
because there's no snow. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what this year is.
Yeah, there's snow further north in Michigan, but not where we're
right.
at right
Yeah,
now.
we've had some
But
high temps.
I would say 9 out of 10 years we go down there, we have a snowstorm, and a couple of times we were kind of concerned about getting down there because
Right.
of the snow.
Last year,
It was
wasn't
the
it?
year before.
A whiteout.
Yeah, it was total whiteout.
Whiteout. On
We
the way
had to
down there.
actually get off the expressway because I could not drive. I couldn't see.
Right. It was scary.
Yeah.
So food is definitely something that you should bring.
Right. And that brings us to the what do you bring category.
What to pack. There are certain things that we have discovered over the years are vital things
Yes.
to
Yes.
bring.
Besides your jammies and comfortable clothes.
Exactly. So food, that
Food.
kind of goes on the list.
Food is on the list.
So aside from that, we try to be green.
Right.
We are witches.
Right.
So
They have
they
water.
always there's always water in each of the classrooms and other locations on site. And so they encourage you to bring your own water bottle.
Right.
And so I think I've taken my own water bottle and my own like thermal
Right.
cup for coffee or
Coffee
tea.
or tea. Right.
Um
So tea bags is a good thing to bring.
Right, tea bags. We always bring tea bags. We always bring like creamer and sugar because there's never enough. And stuff
You
like-
bring it.
Yeah, because
I don't
I'm the
do
coffee
coffee.
drinker. So, the next thing,
You got to bring a notebook because there's so much good information. You want to make sure that you write it down. So with the notebook comes writing utensils.
right,
And a highlighter,
Highlighter.
because you need to highlight your schedule so you know where you're going.
right. The next thing to bring is
Oh, the lanyard.
the
The
lanyard.
lanyard.
Well, that's not what that is. That's layered.
But I saw the lanyard. So when you check into ConVocation, they give you a name badge, and they have disposable lanyards, or they encourage you to turn the lanyards in at the end. But we make pretty lanyards and wear those down
Right, because we're crafty witches.
because we're crafty witches.
So aside from the lanyard, layered clothing is always a good thing, because sometimes the rooms are hot, sometimes they're cold. So it's good to bring comfortable clothing that you can take on and off layers.
Absolutely.
So I usually bring like a shawl. I usually have camis, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts.
Right.
I even bring arm warmers just in case.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's good to do that. And
So,
then,
another really important thing, and of course, this depends on your budget, but the vendor room and the art room are very awesome. So, you really need to bring money for those.
right. And they oftentimes have, they try to make it so that the vendor room things are made and not a bunch of stuff from Azure Green.
Right.
But
Yeah, they really do. Because so they have things like drums and things that are crocheted and Jackie Smith candles,
right.
just all of that
And
kinds of
there's
thing.
there's a few years ago they got like a wood burner in there, the person that does wood
Yeah,
burning. So
yeah,
there's beautiful rune sets and plaques and things of that
yeah,
nature.
and it's most of it's
And the
handmade.
masks.
The masks,
Oh, these
right?
leather
Because there's a
masks that are
masquerade
beautiful.
ball, so yeah, the
Right.
masks,
Right.
the masks. So that leads us to our final item, and some of you might have noticed that we didn't do this at the beginning of the episode, but here we are.
Why? I
It's
think
the
it's time for the correspondence
correspondence
of
of the
the week.
week. So
We are such dorks sometimes.
there is a lot of energy going on at ConVocation, and a lot of it is just too much. So you have to make sure that you take the steps to ground and center yourself. And we totally recommend that you bring some sort of grounding stone to help you do that.
Right. Or I mean, if if there's like a plant or something that works better for you,
Right.
be aware because there's a lot of pagans, witches, heathens. I mean, there's a lot of people in an area and there's a lot of energy. And like the first few years, we were wiped
Yeah.
out.
So if you're at all sensitive to that stuff, you have to find something that will help you ground that energy.
So hematite, quartz
Quartz
crystal.
crystals.
I'm sure there's plants out there, but we were really thinking about stones because
Right. Because you can put a stone in your pocket.
right, you could put a stone in your pocket or you could wear jewelry
Right.
or what have you. Highly, highly recommend this.
Absolutely. So that's our correspondence of the week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job. And that's it
That's
for
our
this
episode. Right. So again, if you are at all interested in meeting up with us down at ConVocation, I obviously have no idea what room we will be in, but
but you can look for the Mystics of Real Lore door hanging.
Oh yes, because a friend of ours made us this lovely door hanging
that I posted a video on it last week.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. So look for that. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much for making that for us.
And we'll have.
I don't know if we're using her real name or
Yeah,
not. Cindy, thank you, Cindy, so much for making that. And so sorry you can't be with us, but we're going to use it and it's going to be beautiful. So you can look for that, or I'm going to volunteer at the PIN ticket table probably Saturday afternoon because there's a couple of time frames that I have nothing I want to go see. So,
and you'll have Kathy.
I will have Kathy on my name tag. Yes,
and I'll have Helen on mine. I know they're
and we're together, so you know,
or not, or we can direct you to where somebody else is.
Right.
So please,
usually,
so please say hi. We
Yes.
want to meet people. So, so that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and to walk the path with us. And until next time, blessed be.
Blessed be.